Rebecca Dawson, and thanks for joining me for a few moments so that we can reflect upon the monthly message from the Masters for May 2018, Seeing Beyond the Problem. So I just love the analogy in this one about seeing the spaces between the clouds. How easy is it for us to look at what's already there, to look at what we need to focus on being already there, what we need to maintain and sustain and bring all of our attention to, rather than the space outside of that or beyond that. Now, I know a big one for me in my life, which I'm sure it's very similar for you, is what happens when bills come in. Because when bills come in, it really takes our attention. These are the things that need to be addressed right now. These are the things we have to maintain and sustain in our lives, like mortgages and taxes, school bills, all of those sorts of things. And it can really take up so much of our focus that we're not giving ourselves those opportunities to look for new opportunities, new spaces for creation, and new flows of abundance. Now, in my personal experience, because you know I have the human experience like everybody else, for me this has been a fabulous reminder, because the last 2 weeks in particular, after being away in Indonesia and absolutely being able to be in the moment. Now, when you travel, you know, everything is new and you're so in the flow and everything is just spectacular in its intensity and you're really paying attention to life. And then when you get home and all the bills come in, how easy is it to switch back to, oh, now we've got to deal with this. Now we've got to focus with, in essence, what has already happened. Because all of those financial commitments are usually around what's already happened, rather than what is new and what's coming up. And what I find very curious about how we handle money on this planet is I have the belief that if we want to experience something new, we have to go back to what's already happened. In other words, we have to have already worked and earned the money if we want to experience or engage with something new. Now, I've been playing with this quite a lot lately because there are so many things that I want to experience. And every time I glimpse something new in that space beyond what's already here, I instantly want to engage with it. And then common sense comes in and says, well, how are you actually going to do that? Because unless you already have something in place, you can't move towards the new. And that is the great game of distraction, unfortunately. If we actually get really enmeshed in that way of thinking, we actually spend so much of our energy and focus creating what we think we need in order to have something new that we will often lose focus about what it is that we were glimpsing there in the space between the clouds. So I just wanted to begin with that during this discussion, because a lot of people say, well, you know, I really enjoy thinking about new things. I really enjoy all of these possibilities. But then there's this pull. The pull that holds you back and says, well, it's not the right time, or I just need to wait a little bit longer. And yet, once you get your focus back to those things that need resolving or maintaining or sustaining, it's very, very difficult to hold that spark that you felt when you were looking into the open space. And really, that's the thing about newness. Newness really requires us to have spontaneity. Newness really requires us to make a decision that's not about what we already have. And when we start to look at what we already have, we start to look for permission to be able to do new things. So I think that that's an important message for this month, because there's a lot of daring decisions that are being made. Many people I know are sitting on the fence at this time between feeling that they're really, really ready for something new, but also very reluctant to leave the familiarity of what they already know. Mainly because they're still in that loop of belief where they have to use what they already have to be able to go to something new. One of the most beautiful aspects that I experienced from listening to this month's message was that glimpse that actually abundance comes from the new. That abundance is sitting there in the spaces that we haven't accessed yet. And so rather than looking from abundance from what we've already created, let's look to abundance from what we haven't even discovered yet. Having said that, you might have already guessed that I've made some pretty radical decisions this month that are not what people would call financial decisions or good financial decisions. So I am putting myself out there that I am participating in this grand experiment, that the abundance is in the newness, and to keep my focus there. I hope that this gives you some courage to do the same as well, or fearlessness, I should say. So moving forward into another key piece of information that I found incredibly insightful for the May message, which was about water. Now, the weight within our bodies is increasing, fabulous, perhaps not for many of us, but let's think about that weight in terms of the water that we're holding. Because what we know about water is that water contains the knowledge of the planet. It contains all the blueprints of the planet. It contains all of the original signatures of the planet. Now, if we're holding more water in our bodies, that means that we have more to express. We have more knowledge to draw from. And it also means that more of our consciousness is here in physicality now. So this is a time where we can't really separate who we are as spiritual beings or who we are as consciousness and who we are in physicality. It's all merging in one place now. Everything's uniting and converging into one expression. So therefore, our bodies are going to be expressing more with the knowledge and the water that's within it. So if you're starting to retain fluid and feeling heavier, celebrate. Because that doesn't mean you're becoming unhealthy. It means that more of you is here. And the water component of you is reflecting that. The knowledge that you're holding, your capacity is increasing. It's also valuable at this time to consider that feeling heavy doesn't have to mean feeling tired or feeling lethargic or feeling less than vibrant. I'm finding at this time that feeling heavier is also helping me feel more solid, but not solid in a way that's weighted, solid in a way that's vital. This is almost the first time I've experienced vitality as a solidity. In my earlier years, I was always trying to get out of my body, particularly when meditating or trying to channel. It was all about getting out because this was too heavy and I felt much better and more vital when I wasn't focused on the body. But this is the time where the weight of the body is the vitality, because now we are here and we can do more and we're incredibly present in our physicality. This is where it actually begins to be fun to be on the planet. This is when we get to be creators. So the other mention of water in this May message was about the water systems on the planet moving. Now, if the water systems and rivers and bodies of water are shifting, let's think about that again in terms of knowledge, because we do try within the systems that have been created on the planet to contain knowledge. How often does it happen that a great piece of knowledge comes out or information comes out and then a structure is set around it? And then you have to do certain things to be able to access that information, even in terms of what we do with our spiritual learning. Things become structured, and as soon as they become structured, they become harder to access, or there are conditions that are placed upon it. And we know that as humans, our history is to try to control knowledge. Is it the same with the water systems on the planet? If the water systems on the planet are our knowledge systems, if they're changing at this time, let's not see that as a problem. Let's see that as a movement of knowledge, perhaps a movement of accessibility. When bodies of water dry up, do they become something that's more accessible and available to more people? I don't know. These are all questions that we can certainly be asking ourselves, and to start to see something that can't be controlled as a release back into the arms of humanity for everyone. So those are my thoughts on and experiences on the May monthly message this year, Seeing Beyond the Problem. I hope that I've ignited a few questions within you and perhaps some more understanding and wisdom that you've got sitting in there. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.